Vice President Harris's Secret Service detail, which was already very strong, should now be strengthened. Not just because she has moved up from vice presidential nominee to presidential nominee, but because we have seen recent proof of Secret Service protection not being strong enough. The director of the Secret Service resigned today after being sharply questioned by both Democrats and Republicans in a congressional hearing yesterday about how a lone gunman was allowed to get on a roof within range of a presidential candidate and fire shots that could have killed that candidate and did kill one of the spectators and wounded two others. That is the first time in history that a Secret Service director has resigned after shots fired, even though every single time shots have been fired at a president since the creation of the Secret Service after Abraham Lincoln's presidency, it has always been the Secret Service's fault. Every time. In every single shooting, the Secret Service made the mistake of giving the shooters a clear shot. In 1901, the Secret Service allowed an assassin to walk right up to President William McKinley to shake his hand and instead revealed a handgun, shooting the president to death. Congress had no hard questions for Secret Service Director John Wilkie at that time. And the Secret Service Director, Wilkie, then served another 10 years in that job after failing to protect the life of President McKinley. In 1933, 2 weeks before his inauguration, an assassin approached President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt's car in Florida and fired shots that missed the president but killed a mayor who was standing on the running board of the president-elect's car. Once again, the Secret Service let an assassin with a gun get too close to the president-elect. President Roosevelt was riding in an open car, convertible. It was an easy shot because it was an open car. The world was lucky that that assassin missed. Congress did not grill Secret Service Director William Moran, who allowed that assassin to get so close to the president. Congress did not ask why William Moran allowed the president-elect to ride in an open car, and William Moran served 3 more years as Secret Service Director and continued to allow President Roosevelt to ride fully exposed in open cars, which President Roosevelt did throughout his presidency. 30 years after those shots were fired at President Roosevelt in an open car, shots fired at President John Fitzgerald Kennedy riding in the back of an open car took the life of the youngest president in history as pieces of the president's skull and brain tissue fell onto the surface of the open car behind President Kennedy's head. His wife tried to reach back and grab those pieces, while the fully incompetent Secret Service began climbing onto the back of the limousine and urging the First Lady to stay in the car. It was only after President John F. Kennedy was pronounced dead at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas that afternoon that Secret Service Director James Rowley decided the President of the United States should never again ride in an open car, and no president ever has since that day. If Jim Rowley had made that decision one day before, American history would be so much less tragic. Secret Service Director Jim Rowley served 10 more years as Secret Service Director after losing President Kennedy on his watch because of his incompetence. President Kennedy's younger brother, Bobby Kennedy, was assassinated in 1968 while running for president. The Secret Service provided Secret Service protection to presidential candidates starting the day after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy's assassin was able to walk up to him very close in a hotel ballroom and shoot him point blank in the head. In 1975, the Secret Service allowed President Ford to be shot twice within 2 weeks at close range by pedestrians just walking up with handguns and shooting at him. Stuart Knight was the director of the Secret Service then. He allowed people with no firearms training to simply get too close to President Jerry Ford and shoot at him. He's the only Secret Service director in history to allow the same president to be shot at twice, but he wasn't finished. he became the only Secret Service director in history to allow two different presidents to be shot at. He was still in charge of the Secret Service when the Secret Service allowed another completely untrained and crazed pedestrian with a handgun to walk up and get close enough to President Ronald Reagan to fire shots as the president was entering the Washington Hilton. In that shooting, the Secret Service also allowed the president's press secretary to be gravely shot and wounded. And in that shooting, the Secret Service also allowed a Secret Service agent to be shot. All because the Secret Service and Secret Service directors had not yet figured out how to prevent pedestrians from just randomly walking up to presidents and firing handguns at them. There was no condemnation of Secret Service Director Stuart Knight after the Jerry Ford shootings, 2 in 1 month, or the Ronald Reagan shooting. And he left the Secret Service after 8 years as director. The Secret Service got marginally better after some of these shootings. No more open cars. No more people allowed to just walk up to a president and shoot him. And now the Secret Service thinks they've figured out how to protect Donald Trump at his rallies. The Washington Post reports that the Secret Service today urged the Trump campaign, quote, to stop scheduling large outdoor rallies and other outdoor events with big crowds. But at the outdoor rally in Pennsylvania, the Secret Service failed to do the elementary thing of securing every possible elevated firing position. The roof they decided not to secure, the only roof they decided not to secure, was the roof the murderer used to fire at the candidate and his supporters. It was, as usual, the Secret Service's fault. The Secret Service director was right to resign. But she should not have been the first Secret Service director to resign after shots fired. The new acting director of the Secret Service, Ronald Rao, is a 24-year veteran of the Secret Service. We can only hope that he will provide the protection that allows this campaign to make it to Election Day, with all of the big surprises being only political surprises.